Hi, critic. It's me, Leanne Moonraven, and you called me out. You challenged me to give you my horror therapy. And you know, I've thought about this for a long time, and I'm finally going to rise to the challenge and give you my therapy. But I couldn't decide out of two, and so you told me I could tell you both of them. And I'll make them really quick, but there are two of them that really just changed my whole acceptance of life after death and things that go on, you know, in the spirit realm. And one of them specifically, of the two, was I was at home one night, and it was early evening, and the job that my husband had at the time, he wore a lot of keys. And he would often say to me, if he ever passed on, that he would let me know he was okay by jingling his keys. So it was kind of this ongoing thing between us. But one night I was laying across the bed and I was waiting for him to come home from work. And the television was off, but you know you can see the reflection through the television. Even when it's off, it's like it acts like a mirror. The screen does. So while I was laying there, I heard the back door. I heard the door open. I heard his key go in the lock, unlock the door, and the door opened. And when you come in with that particular door, you had to go down some steps to get into our bedroom. And so when I heard the door open and closed, I looked at the television, at the reflection, because the angle of the television at the time was at the door so that I would be able to see him. I looked at the television through the reflection, and I saw him walking down the steps. And he had his windbreaker on, he had his hood on, and I heard his keys jingling. And so when he got to the bottom of the steps, I turned and I looked at the door to wait for him to come through the door of the bedroom. And it took me a couple of seconds to realize that he didn't come through the door. And when I got up to investigate, there was nobody there. There was nobody there. But I heard it with my ears. I saw it. And he wasn't there, and I have no explanation for that. I called him, and he was still at work. So I don't know who that was, whether it was a doppelganger. I have no idea, but I know what I saw, and I know what I heard. And that freaked me out for a long time. As a matter of fact, it still really freaks me out thinking about it. But the other one was, I have dowsing rods, and I use them frequently, and they are very accurate, and they really do pick up spirit energy. So one night we were having a dinner party, and some of the guests decided they wanted to go to the local cemetery in the town that you all know as Clarington, which was, the cemetery was right around the street, and right around the corner. And it's very, very old, and there's an unknown Confederate soldier buried there, and it's just a really old cemetery, and it's very small too. It's really, really small. So we decided to go there, and when we got there, I tested the rods, and they were working. You know, I said, "Is there anyone here who wants to communicate with us?" And they indicated yes. And so we made our way through the cemetery, and we got there, and I said, "Are there any children here?" And the rods indicated yes, there were children there. And I said, "You're really only supposed to ask them yes or no questions," but I said, "Can you show me a child's grave?" And the rod bent all the way back so that it almost touched me on my arm, which had never done before. That's not an indication of yes or no. But it turned all the way back in my left hand and touched my shoulder and pointed downward, sort of. And there was a guy standing next to me, and we looked down, and we noticed that there was a marker there. It wasn't a tombstone, but there was a marker. And I said, "What does it say?" And he put the flashlight on the grave, and it said, "Here lies baby so-and-so from such and such date, like in the 1800s to such and such date." And it was 3 weeks. The baby was 3 weeks old, and it was that grave marker there. And I just kind of looked at my friends and said, "Time to go." So we got in the car and saged and left, and I've never done anything like that before. But those were the two that really, really freaked me out. There's been many, 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 many others, but those two really shook me up. And once again, thank you so much for giving people the opportunity to live those nightmares again. And so I want to challenge my partner, JJ Bryan, to come on and tell his horror therapy as well. Thanks, Bleeding Critic. You're doing a great job. Thank you so much for this opportunity. And we'll talk again soon. Bye.